there are so many ways that I could go after Final Fantasy 15. Like there, like you fans of this game are such an inspiration for the game. The way that I will never ever choose to be. In the words of James Maynard Keenan, from that Judith song, like you're the person that I'm thinking of when I listen to those right now. That comes to mind. If you're defensive of this storyline, I don't know why I care so much, but it just like it upsets me that there are people that actually like this fucking storyline. Like I don't know why that is because it's like, how does that affect your life in any way? And I can only theorize, like, well, maybe they're gonna if they say their piece about this and say it's great and everything, maybe SE will get the idea that they can get away with this. When 16 came out, all I could think is, man, SE doesn't have to knock it out of the park this time. They just have to do better than Final Fantasy 15 to get me satisfied. Because as far as I'm concerned, this was a fucking disaster. You know? Its story was so bad that it shocks me, like, how is it Square Enix is legendary, they make absolutely legendary good games, and then they released Final Fantasy 15, and it was such a massive pile of shit. Did you know about me personally, like, I know that this won't seem related, but I'll kinda tie it together when I get to it. I watched all of Inuyasha, and I would not have been able to ultimately sit through over 100 episodes of that goddamn show if I didn't want to see how the romances ended in the end and watch the whole, goddamn experience of it and everything. And I love a good love story. I mean, 10 Things I Hate About You is pretty high up there on list of movies I love. Maybe some people think of those things as a chick flick or whatever, but no, I love that movie. Like it's one that I'm very fond of, and I look at all of it and Final Fantasy 15, and I'm like there, we were promised a love story. Where the fuck is it? Like maybe revealed through notes between Noctis and Lunafre, but are they ever in the same room together? Do they like having a dialogue with each other? You know, no, like not really for the most part. Maybe a few when but Leviathan was already attacking her. She was gone in the blink of an eye, and then Noctis is devastated about all of it, and I can't feel fucking shit about it. Because it's like these two, I have never even had the experience of seeing them talk to each other in a room somewhere, not, on their own, or interact with each other where they're not, being attacked by somebody else during the moments that they're having maybe the brief bits of dialogue that they have in this whole thing. There's no cutscenes of the two. Like it was like we were sold on this idea that there was going to be a love story in Final Fantasy 15. Where the fuck is it? Not really present. There's so much wrong with this game. Like, obviously, this game, Final Fantasy, should not be entirely about romance. Like that should not define it. I'm not gonna. I'm If somebody came up here and said no, it should just be a love story, I'd be like, fuck you, get the fuck out. You don't belong in this fandom. You know, but it should have love stories in it, This shouldn't define the overall story and everything, Like it said, this is a game that usually has a little bit of everything in it, And Final Fantasy 15 just didn't, like that's the thing about it. Like it didn't deliver on what the title really is and what it's been sold as in the company. I mean, they say it has a little bit of everything in it. Well, Final Fantasy 15 didn't. Like all the other stuff kind of that would have made it have a little bit of everything in it got gutted by Tabata, who, I've heard the propaganda about how he supposedly turned this game around and saved it. No, he fucking didn't. It's still a pile of shit, to this day. Incomplete in a lot of ways. a storyline that really needs a lot of work to flesh out the whole thing and make the characters deeper, add depth to them, give us a reason to give a shit about Lena Freya, like the love story between the two of them. This like this is how not to tell a story, a good one, with Final Fantasy 15. It was not just a little bad. It wasn't just a little awful, it's not awful in the kind of way that everything else is all that many other things are awful, like, the smell of something vile, like, the cat box or something is awful. No, this was special, and a special kind of vileness to this story. Like, it was bad, okay, when it comes to Final Fantasy 15, and that surprised me because it came out of Square Enix's ass, and that really blew me away because I expect more from them as a company and that they are capable of shitting shit instead of gold. That that shocked me about Final Fantasy 15. Like, wow. Didn't know that you could do that. So, you know, that's a metaphor that I'm gonna go with, not literal, but, the whole thing with it was that this was just a game that, should go down in infamy for being very poorly written, and, you know, that's shocking because we're talking about SE, where storyline has always been, one of the things that we could expect them to do at least a good one with. Maybe we're not gonna give it 10 out of 10, but it's gonna be north of 8 out of 10, Like, at the very least with the stories that they tell because this is SE, They've traditionally knocked it out of the park. Well, they failed here. And, it's been said infamously that, Mora, has commented that, when he came in, like Tabata and others were like, Final Fantasy is a game that had everything in it. Well, after Tabata got finished gutting this game, he removed, the love story from it, and so now it doesn't have everything. There's so much missing, and if it is present at all, it's told through exposition dumps rather than dialogue between the characters, where you're reading notes and everything, and that's just really bad writing right there. I mean, hold that up as an example of bad writing right there, what I'm talking about. And so if somebody comes to me and it's like, wow, no, I get what you're saying, but the combat's a lot of fun, like that's cool. But I mean, if you like the storyline to this game, I'm sorry, we can't be friends.